Welcome to the thrilling world of the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix, a theatre of speed, skill, and strategy that unfolded beneath the dazzling night lights of the Marina Bay Street circuit. The stage was set for an intense and competitive race, with 5 drivers vying for victory. Red Bull, the dominant force throughout the season, faced an unexpected hurdle as their usual pace slipped away, opening the gates for other teams to rise to the challenge. The spectacle was an intricate dance of patience and strategy, where every move had to be timed to perfection. The championship leader, Max Verstappen, found himself navigating turbulent waters as his 10-race winning streak came to a bitter end. From a challenging practice session to being out-qualified by Liam Lawson, Verstappen wrestled with his Red Bull beast, starting 11th on the grid. But true to his resilient form, he clawed his way up to second place, before settling for a respectable 5th. A clear testament to his unwavering determination to fight until the final lap. But the Red Bull woes didn't end with Verstappen. His teammate Sergio Perez also struggled to find his rhythm. Despite starting from the 13th spot and suffering front-wing damage in an early skirmish with Yuki Tsunoda, Perez turned his fortunes around to finish at an impressive 8th place. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc had a weekend of highs and lows. Despite an error at turn 17 that cost him the pole position, he managed to leapfrog George Russell at the start. Although losing positions during the pit stops, he salvaged a 4th-place finish. Now, let's talk about the star of the show, Carlos Sainz Jr., who treated us to an exceptional performance. Driving the Scuderia Ferrari to its limits, he conquered the final 2 practice sessions and clinched pole position by a mere 0.072 seconds. From leading every lap to securing his first victory of the season, Sainz's weekend was nothing short of epic. George Russell's strong performance was unfortunately marred by a last-lap error that denied him a potential podium finish. Meanwhile, Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton, despite a few questionable moves, managed a solid race, securing the 3rd step on the podium. The 2023 Singapore Grand Prix was a testament to the timeless allure of Formula One, showcasing the heroics of triumphant victories, the heartbreak of mechanical failures, and the sheer skill and stamina of the drivers. The race will be remembered for Carlos Sainz Jr.'s maiden win of the season and Max Verstappen's end to a notable winning streak. However, it was the sheer competitiveness that stole the limelight, showcasing the dynamic nature of the sport that keeps us all riveted. Hello, listeners. It's me, George Watson, from sunny Manchester, your host for today's special episode on the F1 Motor Fever podcast channel. Normally, you'd hear Enzo's voice, but on select Thursday mornings, it's my turn to take the wheel. And, not alone, mind you. With me today is the esteemed Mr. William, a Brummie from Birmingham, straddling the world of sports commentary with his eloquence and observance. How's it going, William?
It's going quite well, George. Looking forward to dissecting the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix with you.
Splendid. Now, dear listeners, if you're enjoying your ride with us on the F1 Motor Fever podcast channel, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and do share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to share our podcast with your friends and family. It's your support that fuels our journey here. So, why the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix? Well, it was a race that had it all: the drama, the strategy, the ups, the downs, and the heart-stopping moments. A classic example of why we all love Formula One. Right, William?
Absolutely, George. It's a race that will be remembered for its intense competition, unexpected twists and turns, and fantastic performances. A perfect topic for today's special episode.
Well said, William. And if you're wondering about all the nitty-gritty details and why it was such a nail-biter, stick with us. We've got all that and more coming up. So, listeners, are you ready to go full throttle? Let's dive in. The 2023 Singapore Grand Prix was indeed a spectacle, with a wonderfully chaotic mix of strategies, patience, and adrenaline. It was a slow-burn race that ended up as one of the most intensely fought battles for victory this season. Now, that's Formula One for you.
True that. It was quite a departure from the usual Red Bull dominance we've been seeing throughout the year. This time around, there were 5 drivers in the race for victory on that Sunday, and oh boy, was it exciting to watch.
Absolutely. A perfect example would be Max Verstappen. The championship leader, known for his incredible 10-race winning streak, had a challenging weekend. It was indeed a test of his mettle, wasn't it?
Indeed. His winning streak came to an end, but not without a fight. Despite handling issues throughout the practice, he made an impressive start from 11th place on hard tyres, passing several cars in the early laps. He even managed to move up to second under the safety car.
Just goes on to show the prowess of Verstappen. Even with the odds stacked against him, he managed to claw his way up. And it wasn't until the closing laps that he had to settle for 5th place, just 3/10 behind Charles Leclerc. It was a testament to his determination, wouldn't you say?
Spot on. It was indeed his most challenging weekend of the season, but true to form, Verstappen showed us why he's the championship leader. Even when the win streak ends, the fighter in him doesn't.
That's what sets champions apart, isn't it? They fight till the very end. So, ready for more spins around the track?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
That was a thrilling recount of Verstappen's valiant performance. But his teammate, Sergio Perez, seemed to have a slightly rougher weekend, am I right?
Unfortunately, yes. Perez was grappling with balance problems throughout the weekend. As a result, he was eliminated from Q2 in 13th place, a 10th slower than his teammate.
The race wasn't much better either. Perez started on hard tires and suffered front wing damage when he had a bit of a skirmish with Tsunoda at turn 4. He was essentially shadowing the midfield for most of the race.
Right, but Perez did manage to claw his way back up. He jumped to 4th under the safety car, and despite falling back to 7th after the restart, he maintained his position. Perez definitely had to face his share of challenges, but he still managed to finish in 8th place.
A testament to his resilience, indeed. These drivers just don't know how to give up, do they?
That's what makes them the best in the world. They keep pushing, irrespective of the circumstances. Shall we move on to the others?
Absolutely. Considering the action-packed race we're discussing, I can't wait to dive into the rest of the performances. So, moving on. Perez had a tough time, but his performance was commendable nonetheless. On the other hand, Charles Leclerc's race was somewhat of a rollercoaster.
Oh, it definitely was. Now, Leclerc qualified 3rd, just behind his teammate. He made an excellent start, jumping from 3rd to 2nd right off the bat. It looked like he was on track for pole before an error at turn 17 left him settling for 3rd on the grid.
That's right. And during the race, his strategy seemed to be working well. He managed the gap to his teammate ahead quite effectively. But then, he lost his places to Russell and Norris double stacking in the pits under the safety car, dropping him to 6th.
Indeed. But Leclerc is not one to be kept down easily. He was overtaken by Hamilton at the restart, but then charged past Perez and Verstappen to 5th. He even managed to move ahead of Mercedes under the virtual safety car, which was quite a move.
Yes, but it wasn't all smooth sailing for him. In the final laps, his pace dropped dramatically as his tires wore down. Yet, he held off Verstappen to finish 4th. A commendable performance, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Despite being somewhat overshadowed by his teammate, Leclerc demonstrated his resilience and skill at every turn. I believe he could have had a very different outcome if not for that slight error during qualifying.
A game of ifs and buts, isn't it? But that's what makes it all so exciting. Let's see, who's next on our list? Alright then, let's shift gears and talk about Carlos Sainz Jr. now. There's a driver who had a remarkable weekend.
Oh, he certainly did. Sainz put on a splendid performance. He was the fastest in the final 2 practice sessions and gloriously stormed to pole by 0.72 of a second.
And he didn't just stop at that, did he? Sainz successfully held his position off the line, controlled the pace at the front in the early stint, and brilliantly pitted for hard tires under the safety car.
Indeed. He continued to dictate the pace from Russell behind, and then Norris. What I found interesting was his strategy to allow Norris to gain doctors, which ultimately helped keep Mercedes at bay.
That's what we call a masterstroke. And the result? Well, Sainz secured his first win of the season by less than a second after leading every lap. What an astounding performance.
Absolutely. It was indeed a special performance, possibly his best in a Ferrari so far. The race-long pressure he withstood for this win was incredible.
Blimey, it really makes you think how incredible the world of Formula One is, doesn't it? So many emotions, so much competitiveness, so much adrenaline. It's absolutely bonkers. What do you all think, my lovely audience? Are you enjoying the content? Don't forget to smash that like button, alright? I'm really enjoying these updates, and I hope you are too. Thanks for tuning in. Let's carry on, shall we? From Sainz's high-flying performance, let's switch gears and discuss George Russell's weekend. Now, that was quite a turn of events, wasn't it?
It indeed was. Russell had an impressive start, qualifying second, 3 places ahead of his teammate. He was just shy of pole position, lining up alongside Sainz on the front row.
However, the start of the race didn't go smoothly for Russell, did it? He lost his position to Leclerc off the line, and there was a bit of a shuffle with his teammate.
True. But Russell showed tenacity. He pitted under the safety car for hard tyres and sat third, passing Verstappen at the restart.
Oh, I remember that moment. But Russell's real shining moment came later, didn't it?
Absolutely. He was within doctor's range of the leader before pitting for fresh mediums under the virtual safety car. Russell rejoined the race in 4th position and chased down Leclerc before passing him. It was quite a move.
And then, Russell was battling with Norris for second into the final lap. Can you provide an example to help our listeners better understand the gravity of that situation?
Of course, George. So, imagine running a marathon. You've been pacing yourself, keeping up with the lead runners. As the finish line comes into view, you make your move, sprinting past one competitor, then another. You've got one more person to beat, and victory is within reach. That's the kind of nail-biting situation Russell found himself in.
That's a great example, William. Unfortunately, the fairy tale ended abruptly for Russell, as he crashed out at turn 10 after hitting the wall. A weekend that promised so much ended in heartbreak. But that's the unpredictable and thrilling world of Formula One for you. Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton now. He qualified 5th, 3 places behind his teammate, but turned things around during the race, didn't he?
He certainly did. Although he missed turn 2 and gained 2 places over Norris and Russell off track, he later returned both places. He ran behind his teammate until pitting for hard tyres behind the safety car, restarting behind Leclerc in 7th.
And then Hamilton went on a bit of a rampage, didn't he? Passing Leclerc and then both the Red Bulls to move up to 4th, even though he did pass Perez off the track.
True, but then he pitted with his teammate for mediums under the virtual safety car, which dropped him back to 5th. However, Hamilton is nothing if not resilient. He fought back, catching and passing Leclerc for 4th, and then gained 3rd on the final lap after Russell's crash.
I've always admired Hamilton's dogged determination. His ability to claw back from behind is what sets him apart, in my opinion.
I can see where you're coming from, but allow me to offer a different perspective. Hamilton's driving skill is undeniable, but his performance also relies heavily on the machinery he drives. His successes with Mercedes are a testament to this.
Ah, you're implying that the car plays a significant role in his victories.
Exactly. The technical nuances of the car, the strategy the team employs, all these factors contribute to a driver's success. Hamilton is an extraordinary driver, no doubt, but it's crucial to recognize the role of the car and the team in his victories.
I suppose there's some merit to that argument, although I'm not entirely convinced.
And that's perfectly fine. It's normal to not fully agree, but the important thing is to keep an open mind and to consider different opinions.
I'll definitely give it some thought, William. It's always great to have these discussions. Let's continue, shall we? Let's take a moment to discuss Esteban Ocon's performance. Despite some unreliability issues, Ocon put up a strong fight, didn't he?
Yes, indeed. Ocon qualified 8th, for places ahead of his teammate, and managed to gain a position at the start of the race. His strategy of a one-stop race with hard tyres under the safety car seemed to work initially.
And let's not forget his brilliantly opportunistic move on Alonso to gain 8th place. Unfortunately, his race ended prematurely due to a sudden gearbox failure.
I heard a rumor that the gearbox failure was intentional. Some believe it was an elaborate strategy to test Alonso's reaction under pressure.
Oh, William, let's be careful with such speculations. Spreading unverified rumors could mislead our listeners. It's crucial to always check the facts from reliable sources like the official Formula One website or Bandeirantes, the official Formula One broadcaster in Brazil.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry for that, I'll be more careful next time. Let's stick to the facts then.
That's more like it. So, despite the unfortunate end to his race, Ocon showcased his talent, leaving us anticipating a strong comeback in the next race. Let's continue, shall we? Moving on now to Pierre Gasly, who faced quite a rollercoaster ride in the Singapore Grand Prix. Despite qualifying at 12th, for places behind his teammate, he managed to pull himself up into the points.
Yes, it was a display of patience and good tyre management. Gasly gained a place at the start, pitted for hard tyres under the safety car, and restarted 12th. He then smoothly moved up the ranks, benefiting from his opponent's mishaps and strategic calls.
Absolutely. And he ended up in 6th place, all thanks to his one-stop strategy. Speaking of Gasly's patience, it reminds me of the race in Monaco 2017. Didn't he also manage a similar feat then?
I'm not sure. Why don't we give Victoria a quick call to confirm?
Good idea. Let me just dial her number. Hello, Victoria? We're debating about Pierre Gasly's performance in the Monaco Grand Prix of 2017. Did he also manage a significant leap in positions due to a well-executed one-stop strategy? I see. Thank you for clarifying that for us. We'll chat later, cheers. Well, according to Victoria, Gasly wasn't even racing in Formula 1 in 2017. My memory must be playing tricks on me.
Well, that's why it's always best to verify facts from reliable sources. We all make mistakes, no harm done. Let's carry on.
It's time we talk about Lando Norris. I must say, Norris put on quite a show in Singapore. Starting 4th on the grid, he managed to finish 2nd, reaping the benefits of his team's upgrades.
Indeed, Norris showed great skill in managing his tyres and keeping his nerve under the immense pressure. Even with Russell catching up to him in the final laps, he managed to keep him at bay and secure an impressive 18 points.
And let's not forget that crucial moment when he passed both Red Bulls at the restart. That was a game changer for Norris, helping him climb up the ranks.
Very true. Norris's performance in Singapore was top-notch. The upgrades McLaren made to the car also played a significant part in his success.
I've got a mate who's a huge Norris fan. He would be chuffed to hear about this. Now, let's continue to our next driver, shall we? Now, onto Oscar Piastri. His performance was compromised heavily by Stroll's crash at the end of the Q1, and he was driving a car that wasn't the same specification as his teammate.
So, he was at a clear disadvantage from the start then.
Well, William, that's a bit of an obvious observation, isn't it?
Maybe, but remember, not all our listeners are Formula 1 aficionados. Some might just be starting to follow the sport.
True, but we don't want to bore them with details they could easily Google, do we? They might switch channels.
I don't think it hurts to discuss even the seemingly basic aspects. It could still be interesting and informative for our listeners.
Alright then, back to Piastri. Despite these challenges, he managed to make up 10 places to finish 7th. Quite a feat, wouldn't you say? Bottas and the Alfa Romeo team had a tough time, didn't they? Despite starting on hard tyres, the safety car threw them off and Bottas was, unfortunately, overtaken by a few rivals on fresh tyres. It reminds me of my go-karting days. No matter what strategy one had, there was always someone ready to overtake me.
Yes, but let's remember, your go-karting days were hardly Formula 1, were they?
Well, that's rather harsh. We all start somewhere, don't we?
I apologize if I came off a bit snide. Let's move on to Zhu Guanyu, who had an equally challenging weekend.
No hard feelings. And yes, onto Zhu, who pulled off an unremarkable performance at a time when his future in Formula 1 was just confirmed for the next season. Moving on, we have Lance Stroll. Now, his weekend was a bit of a bumpy ride, wasn't it? His final Q1 lap ended in a crash, bringing his weekend to an unfortunate early end.
Yes, indeed. But was the crash the only reason he did not participate in the Grand Prix?
Well, the crash led to extensive car damage and Stroll himself was sore. Aston Martin could have possibly fixed the car and had him on the grid, but the team and Stroll decided it was best not to continue.
Interesting. And it's worth noting that, despite his mistake, it wasn't an especially egregious error, was it?
Absolutely. It was simply a case of pushing just a little too hard. Now, let's turn our attention to Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso had quite a Sunday, didn't he? Out of the points for the first time in this year. A penalty for running out of the pit entry confines, a botched pit stop under VSC, and then missing a turn under braking. It all unraveled for him quite quickly in this race.
Yes, it was an uncharacteristic performance from Alonso. What about Kevin Magnussen?
Magnussen, yes. He had a bit of a rollercoaster weekend, securing his first point since the Miami Grand Prix. He was inside the top 10 in all 3 qualifying sessions, which is commendable. But a mistake at turn 7 lost him 6 places.
Quite a mixed bag then.
Indeed. It just goes to show, one mistake can significantly alter your standings in Formula 1. Kevin Magnussen's race was indeed a bit messy, but he showed some real resilience to chase down cars ahead and benefit from Russell's crash to snatch that final point. Nico Hülkenberg, on the other hand, had quite a solid performance, finishing 13th. Nico's weekend was a rare instance where he was not the leading Haas driver, but he still put in quite the effort.
Yes, it's always interesting to see how drivers handle the unexpected during a race. Nico's performance was indeed solid, if not spectacular. And as for Kevin's race, it just goes to show that even a messy start can end on a high note if you keep chasing.
Absolutely. In Formula 1, it's never over until it's over. That's one of the things I love about this sport. The unpredictability keeps you on the edge of your seat. Now, let's talk about Yuki Tsunoda. Talk about a frustrating weekend for him in Singapore, eh? With major upgrades on his car, he was compromised by both Red Bulls over the weekend. That contact from Perez on the opening lap really did a number on him.
Yes, it seems he couldn't catch a break. He did manage to gain 2 places at the start, but that damage from Perez really cost him.
Indeed. And let's not forget Verstappen impeding him on his initial push lap in Q2. Just goes to show, sometimes it's not just about the car but also the circumstances and a little bit of luck. Quite a tough weekend for Tsunoda, but let's hope he bounces back in the next race. Now, let's move on to Liam Lawson. I've got to say, he's certainly making a name for himself. His 9th place finish doesn't tell the whole story. This was his first time driving the Marina Bay circuit and he managed to reach Q3 for the first time in his career. Quite impressive for a rookie, don't you think?
Indeed. Regardless of the result, his performance throughout the weekend was commendable. He didn't make a single error of note, which is impressive considering the demands of the Singapore Grand Prix. He's definitely one to watch for the future.
Absolutely. It's very exciting to see the young talent coming through in Formula 1. We're witnessing the making of future champions. But it also serves as a reminder, doesn't it? The difference between a good driver and a great driver isn't just about raw speed, it's about consistency and the ability to keep your cool under pressure. It's going to be interesting to see how Lawson continues to develop. Alexander Albon, now there's a story. Despite not having his strongest performance of the season, he showed some grit, didn't he? He was making good work of his team's aggressive 2-stop strategy, and even managed to reclaim positions after being bumped into the wall by Perez. I've heard some saying that Perez's move might have been more than just a poorly judged one, a bit of a rivalry brewing perhaps.
Now you're stirring the pot. It's always tempting to speculate about these things, but we shouldn't jump to conclusions. On the track, things can get heated and sometimes mistakes happen. It's always best to stick to the facts.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Just a bit of fun speculation. Regardless, it's clear Albon is a fighter. It's going to be interesting to see how this story unfolds. And then we have Logan Sargent. Unfortunately, another weekend where small mistakes crept in and left him wondering what might have been. His mistake in qualifying and his unforced error in the race were costly.
Yes. It's these little things that make a big difference in the end. It's a shame because he was closer in pace to Albon than he has been at many circuits this season. But that's the learning curve in Formula 1.
Absolutely. Every mistake, every miscue, is a chance to learn and grow. And hey, this is Formula 1. It's the highest level of racing and the margin for error is minuscule. I'm sure Logan will take these experiences and come back stronger in the next race. The potential is definitely there. Well, that brings us to the end of another exhilarating episode of F1 Motor Fever podcast. We've had a blast discussing the highs and lows of Formula 1, from impressive rookie performances to unfortunate errors. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey. Remember, to keep up with all our episodes, don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell. Your support means the world to us, and it's what keeps us going.
And don't just keep the excitement to yourself. Spread the word, tell your friends, family, your cat, everyone. Share our podcast on all your social media platforms or even during a chat at your local. The more the merrier in our Formula 1 family. And oh, keep an eye out, we've got some thrilling content lined up.
A special shout out to our dear Enzo, I bet you'll love this episode. Stay tuned, everyone, we can't wait to keep bringing you more insightful discussions on the world of Formula 1. Until the next time.
Pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road, our channel's content is pure gold.